I gave this a lot of thought of where to start, and I thought probably the best place to start in talking to you today. By the way, I'm just going to speak briefly, and then we're going to have a lot of time for question and answers, because I find that actually I get more, sometimes more good out of talking to people when they can just ask questions and we can answer each other. So, so lots of discussion. So I think the first place to start today is where all of this comes together and where we intersect. The other night I was talking to a mom. I'm trying not to stray off the camera. I was trying to talk to a mom, or I was talking to a mom about her son and her struggles with working with him. An autistic young man, approximately 15, 16 years of age. And I told her about what we do, but I told her that she needed to find a place to forgive herself for not being everything to her child. That a lot of the things that she was working with were not her fault. She was doing an incredible, marvelous job of trying to provide, and yet she was not able to be everything for them. And I mean, I watched the tears like forming up in her eyes, and I said, you know, has no one told you this? And she says, no one tells me this. They tell me to work harder, to do more, to get more therapies, to do everything, to do all these things, but no one has told me that you know, it's okay to need help and that you can't do it all yourself. So I think we need to start at that place. We need to intersect there as a community, as parents. I'm a parent as well of 3 autistic persons, so I've seen the struggles up close and personal, lots of them still going on today, okay? So I get it, okay? But we have to move beyond that, and there's a lot that goes with that. I get it. We've got a lot of cultural baggage to overcome. There's a lot of stigmas. There's a lot of other things. But I think that's important. So we're in this together, all right? And I know all of our situations are unique, and that's okay. We're unique like neurodivergent, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So starting there, we're here together. Let me tell you about why I decided to do this. So about a year and a half ago, I was at a crossroads moment. I had served as strategic partnership director, as executive director, as a lot of titles and a lot of things for a lot of organizations. Great organizations, raised money for all things all over the world, traveled all over the world, super causes, right? But I came to a crossroads moment about a year and a half ago where I thought, what if there's a community that I'm missing out on, maybe one right in front of my face, that I'm missing? And it occurred to me to look at the possibility of serving the autistic population of people. And so I began doing research, put together a business plan, had a market plan, had a business consultant. She was rough on me. I didn't expect all that, right? So, but in looking at the landscape of the autism culture and autistic persons, I discovered some things that were heartbreaking, very hard to see, very hard information. Since the word autism was around, 50, 60 years ago, and in the last 3 decades in particular, all of the things that we've been doing, all these therapies, all the state, federal, government, city, nonprofits, therapies, all these therapies combined, our outcomes have been terrible. They are. Right now we're seeing chronic anxiety, chronic depression. We're at between an 88% and 91% unemployment rate. And yes, that's factored in for soft unemployment. We can talk about that going to job like a basketball if we want to. But the fact is that 90% is horrible. Does anybody not think that's horrible?
Horrible!
Thank you. It is horrible. Yes. All right, good. So, I mean, what are we at in the United States now? Like 3% or something? Best ever. Great, fantastic. But we've got a population of autistic persons who are unemployed, who are not finding meaningful engagement. And don't get me started on Goodwill Industries or anybody else, because I don't consider that to be meaningful employment. Sorry, don't. So, and probably the thing that wakes me up in the morning, and I've shared this with Brandon and with Sarah, this is literally what gets me out of bed and makes me charge down the trail. Hello. This is literally what gets me up in the morning and makes me charge down the trail to do what I do with LifeGuides for Autism NeuroGuides. Every morning when I wake up, I know that there are a certain number of autistic persons in the United States who are going to take their own lives this day. Okay. This is a scandalous secret in the United States that the suicide rate, and I've got some informational research, some good research from Johnson Family Foundation and others, even one last week, really good stuff about a terrible subject. The rate of suicide is 9 times the national average. Okay, does anyone know what the average life expectancy of an autistic person is in the United States? You want to take a guess?
I heard that it was 33, but then later on they found out it was higher. So it depends on what studies.
Yeah, I would say 40.
It's around 35 to 40. That's the life expectancy, and the number one killer is suicide. So autistic persons are taking their lives in droves in the United States. So when I get up in the morning, every morning, I see that in front of me and I think, how many people can I, and with my friends here and fellow LifeGuides, how many people can we intersect this day, this very day, to change the direction, to change the path for that outcome? Because I will not accept it. We cannot accept that kind of outcome. So, you know, I looked at the landscape. I looked at outcomes, and I said, we cannot have this kind of outcome. Something has to be done that's dramatically different. And so I put together, and it was kind of rough to start with, and it's become very fine-tuned as we've gone forward, but a methodology, a process for connecting with autistic adults, and I decided to approach autistic adults as a market to reach on purpose. Okay, I love autistic kids. Okay, I love them. All right, but autistic children, with a few exceptions, have the luxury, I guess, could be, of a lot of resources. There are a lot of therapies. There are a lot of things that they can do. There's schools. There's other things. So what we're seeing is by the time autistic persons in the United States hit 18 years of age and older, the number of resources begin to thin out dramatically. Okay, I have clients right now I work with, autistic persons who have master's degrees. They have advanced degrees. They are working hard, but what they're doing is they're getting to the end of even the academic place to stand. That's thinning out for them too. So by the time they get out of schools and everything else, there's nothing left, there's nowhere to go, okay? So I decided to start working with autistic adults to reach that population in particular because I thought that was the most critical thing we could do. So what do you do with LifeGuides for Autism? Anybody want to know that?
Nope.
Everybody know already? All right, you tell me, what do I do? So what do we do? Okay, so we have a process. We keep it simple, we keep it streamlined. We call it E3. So I got my E up here. So E3. All right, I'm going to tell you in a minute about this process. But first of all, and again, keeping it very simple, there are 3 life areas we reach into with everything we do. Okay, the first one of them is social. Social is pretty important, right? We do it every day. We interact in thousands of ways socially. We even, in a sense, are social when we're alone, where there's a human component there. We're social, and we're social creatures. So one of the things we do in working with autistic persons is help equip them and guide them into success in the social arenas, whether that's one-on-one, whether that's with a larger group, whether that's in school, whatever that is. We work with them intensively in that area. And that tends to be a huge area for us. What we're finding is this population, especially with this age group, is very disconnected. They're usually sensory overloaded to the extreme. I had a client this morning I met. Hey there, come on in.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Allison Ray. Folks, one of my board members, Alice Denninger.
Thank you, yes.
Yay, thank you, Alice, for coming
Nice
out.
to
And
see
Ray, good to
everybody.
see you, sir.
You good?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Oh, can you find seats there?
So, social, it's huge, okay, it's a huge area. It is very difficult to successfully guide and work with autistic persons who are shut down sensory. who are overloaded. They do not want to be social. Again, my client this morning. So I walk up to my client this morning. He wasn't wearing his Vibes earplugs. I bought him some Vibes earplugs. Anybody can ask me about those later. But he wasn't wearing them, and I could just tell his visage was downcast as I walked up. I mean, he's just done. He's not even raising his eyes. So, you know, I'm very gently coming in alongside him and asking him about how he's doing, and not the fine, everything's fine, because that's not true. Okay, and we began unpacking and unraveling that. So he was overloaded. And it took me working with him 30 minutes before I could even get to where he was looking up at me, engaging, and we were starting to have some concrete dialogue. Social, huge. What's next? Occupational. Obviously, we are striking at the heart of that 90% unemployment rate for autistic persons. I believe in taking a different track. Now, one thing you've probably heard through what I've said so far, and if you haven't heard it, I'll tell you real loud what it is that our core philosophy at LifeGuides for Autism NeuroGuides is to see autistic persons as fully human persons. Okay, we start in that. I'm not going to name names, but there are a lot of organizations that start in the opposite directions. They start with seeing autistic persons as flawed, as disabled, as twisted, as ruined and warped, or whatever words you want to use. That's where they start. We start the opposite direction. We see them as fully human persons who are uniquely abled, who are challenged in a variety of ways. And we're going to meet those challenges head on. So I did a segue there. Hope that worked. So occupations. It is critical for us to discover, not just assess, but discover what does the heart of this autistic person say that they want to do. So what is their gifting, and what do they say in their heart that they want to do? We want to find that place. We want to find that intersection. We want to build from that place. I've had autistic clients, persons that we serve, sort of tell me one thing with a parent nearby, and then when I get with them alone, they're like, "Mr. David, I'm taking what I really want to do." Really? Why don't you tell me what you want to do? Okay. Or what the response is occupationally is we take them, we sort of assign them. Like, this is going to be good for you. We're going to put you over here, kiddo. This is where you're going to be. Okay. They're not going to do well in with that kind of response. So again, we go to the heart of the person. We do discovery as to what they're gifted at and what their heart is telling them that they want to do. And if you can go to that place successfully, and this takes a lot of work, folks. This takes a lot of resource building. It takes a lot of bridge building. It takes a lot of connectivity. And that's one thing we've done, and we've done well, is reaching out with a lot of connectivity across the community and beyond to build bridges for them occupationally. But find that place, and when you do, something very unique will happen. You will begin to see them come alive. You'll begin to see them excited. You'll begin to see them engaging back, okay? So drawing back, way back in history, Nikola Tesla, probably autistic. I'm doing a bit of retro diagnostics here, but every single criteria, if you look at him, was autistic, right? Well, somebody didn't stop him from tinkering around with electronics, right? I mean, nobody told him, like, you can't do that, Nikolai. It's dangerous to play with electricity. You must stop. Somebody encouraged him. Somebody connected him. And today we have a lot of our discovery in electricity because of him. Whatever it is, whatever it takes, occupationally we want to reach into. Relationships, our third leg. Relationships. Well, so didn't you just say socially, David? I thought you said socially, so relationships, is that different? Yeah, it is. So we are actually gearing up to do a bit of matchmaking, okay? So whatever that looks like for the individuals we work with, we want to honor them and give them dignity as human persons that they can have relationships too. So we are starting that path, call it Neuromatch. You write that down. Neuromatch. That's our catchword for it. And we began work with some real life matchmakers. I didn't even know these people existed anymore, but they do. Apparently, you can get certified and licensed in matchmaking. So we are now reaching out to some area matchmakers to just find best practices. What do they do? And knowing that, we're also designing our own unique approach, because what works for the neurotypical population often will not work for the autistic person population. So we're going to be working matchmaker to find relationships if they choose. Again, each of these things, we're doing assessment, we're doing discovery, and I've got clients who say, no, I'm just not interested right now. They want to get the rest of this stuff lined up. They want to get better socially, they want to improve their opportunities for occupations. So just to let you know, we do that too. So E3, where does this come in? So everything we do, and by the way, I just heard this today, SOR, right? Social, occupational, and relational. Someone told me this morning, I was talking about, oh, you're helping them to soar. Like, wow. See, this is why I need smart people around me. Okay, right. Soar. We're helping people to soar. Social, occupational, relationally. E3. The first thing. And we just did a video on this, didn't we? Yes. Did you guys, anybody see that? Or was it just shot out there in the air on the internet and nobody actually saw it? I don't know.
I saw it, yeah.
You, Alice saw it? Good. Thank you.
Cool.
So I was addressing encouragement and the power of that and the necessity of that, of being encouragers in a discouraging culture. So the first one we have is encouragement. And as I said on the video, if you watch it, that there is a reason, there is a purpose that we choose encouragement first. I encounter in the work we do with autistic persons so many persons who are discouraged. They are so deeply discouraged. And as I said in the video, and I'm saying to you now, if we could do one thing, we've got a lot of things we do in our process, but if we could do this one thing and do it well, in the art of encouraging other persons, we would see dramatic change. And autistic persons are getting barraged in discouragement from a variety of sources. They're getting it from the culture. Sometimes they get it from schools. They get it from businesses who put their hand out and say, no, sir, I will not take you, accept you because you don't have this licensure, this, or we've seen you, we just don't trust you, whatever. They don't understand, okay? And sadly, and I'm going to be let me be the first one on the firing line here, okay? I'll be right up front. I'm going to take the arrows for everybody. We as parents often discourage when we could be encouraging. Did everybody hear me say I'm the first one to confess that to you? Okay, I have been a discourager. And I saw the results of that and decided to turn the path, turn around the other direction. So encouragement, absolutely critical, job number one. Job number two, equipping. This is where, come on in. You just got here at perfect time. Job number two in our process is equipping. This is where we get, some people would say, what is this saying? Rubber meets the road. This is where we hit the rubber meets the road. Okay, in each of the three areas of SOAR, we are equipping. Now, does anybody expect me to pull out some kind of like schematic to show you exactly what that looks like? Because you're not going to get it. I'll tell you why. Because with my own children and with all the clients we work with, there is not one of them who is not unique. They're all different. The approaches are all different. The equipping they need is all different. So, but that equipping is absolutely critical. Next. Engagement. For a population and group of people that is disconnected, that feels misunderstood, that is culturally not communicated well with, when you can engage them, when you can come into their world, and when you can speak to them, to their hearts and minds, and you can connect with them, the power of that is extreme. Okay, we go back to what motivates me, what drives me, probably drives these guys, and maybe all of you, is we do not want to see these unique, amazing persons take their own lives and be extinguished from life, okay? We want them to be fulfilled, We go to them, we engage them. So let's see, a few more odds and ends to tie you up before I get to your questions is, LifeGuides for Autism, we founded as an LLC. That was a kind of a placeholder, and then we applied for nonprofit status, 501c3, Autism United, because we were sweating. Come on, get it. And then the letter came, and these guys saw me going, yes, we got our letter. 501c3, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We say social impact venture because I love that term, because we are actually having impact. It is not our desire, it is not our design. And you guys can call me on this years from now, okay? You too. So it is not our design to build a monolithic, massive organization where David Hall gets $200,000 or $300,000 in salary a year. And I know CEOs in the autism culture that are making that, okay? That is not my design, okay? You know what my salary is? $48,000 a year. That's it, okay? And the love of you people. Thank you, okay? Which is good. I don't want to build a big organization. I want to build an effective organization. I want to change things for the culture. We're going to make a difference. And I believe in it. I see it every day. So, David, what are you saying? If you're not going to get bigger, what are you trying to do? Are you ready for this? We're designing this thing to go away. Sweet. Pins drop. Why would you do that? We want to diminish as the culture changes. Now, I may not see this in my lifetime, but I'm hoping for it, right? But we have designed this thing so that we help to change the culture, facilitate true engagement, true encouragement, equipping, and engagement for autistic persons. We want to change the culture. We want to change the narrative. And when we're successful in that, we want to become less and less relevant. Because I want to see the day where everybody says, oh yeah, David, everybody's doing that now. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's doing this now, okay? And by the way, I'm starting to see it. Not just with this organization, I've seen other organizations go, what are you doing? Yeah, that's right, that's what we're doing. And we have transformational differences. Testimonials, we're getting them. It's amazing. I read them and I cry. I'm like, did we do that? Yeah, we did, okay? We are making real transformational change in the lives of the autistic persons we're serving. I've got some dramatic stuff I could tell you. And I won't give away any names. We protect privacy. And some of our families and the individuals choose not to disclose. And as Temple Grandin would say, she's not a big fan of that anyway, but do what you got to do. So we respect and honor all persons who we work with. So we're seeing it. We're seeing the results. We're seeing transformational change. We've got proven results, okay, with this. So I'm just going to stop here and just open it up to questions. Anybody? Yes, I see you over there. Come on. And give me your name, please.
I'm Susan Maxwell.
Susan, thank you.
And my curiosity is, do you have an office? Do you have staff?
Excellent question. So, to both of those. When we did our business plan originally, they said, hey, you should have a storefront, just like everybody else. And I thought, well, yes and no, because the people I serve are often already super anxietal, and for them to come in, and you know, every storefront I'm going to find that's a rental has got fluorescent lighting and this and that. Mm-hmm. Okay, you know, autistic people hate these things, right?
Yep.
And many of my clients, their hearing is so acute, you wouldn't think it. They're like, they're listening to everything. One of my favorite things to do in working with autistic clients that I can pick it out is I say, what's it like to hear conversations in the other side of the building? And they get really quiet and they look at me and they say, how did you know that? Oh. So, no storefront. Not yet, maybe in time, but it'd be more like an office. And I'm going to tell you guys, somebody asked me about LifeHouse Community, right? Same. Okay. No storefront. We're mobile. We drive around. We go to clients. We pick out the most, the best areas for them to be. I meet in a lot of libraries. Sometimes coffee shops. Coffee shops can get to be kind of noisy. Sometimes I go to houses. I go to people's houses. And I like doing that at least once or twice because it shows me a lot of their dynamics. And typically they tend to create their own sensory safe zones. Okay? It's where they go to hide. It's their fort. Whatever that looks like, that's where they go. And when they get overwhelmed with life, they go there. You know? Shut the door, bolt it, lock it, boom. Get on the Xbox or computer or whatever. I'm driving everywhere. And I'm glad you asked that too, because we're starting to think that it's time to get a LifeGuides for Autism mobile. So we're going to be looking to do some kind of fundraiser campaign coming up in the near future to get some wheels. So we're going to, because we're traveling and we've started doing these road trip things. So so we're mobile. We come to you. And if you're in the Austin region, I'm getting calls from Houston and Fort Worth and other places. Actually, our farthest flung client is where? Do you remember? I told you about her and John, her son.
No, I don't.
You don't remember? I told you about.
No.
I told you about her in Shrewsbury by Shropshire in England.
Oh my God.
Yes. How do you meet with somebody in England, David? Isn't that hard to get to drive over there? Well, yeah, it gets a little wet. So we do the video. We do video and talk and have conversations there. And we're creating more of that. We're going to do more and more of that in the future, right? So anyway, is that good? Other questions? Thoughts? Did I answer it all?
How many staff you got?
How many staff? Another beautiful question. Wave to us. The reason, so Sarah's not only an incredible human being and person and engager, and she just struck me as being a life guide when we first started talking, but she's also female. I don't know if you noticed that. This is important because I've gotten questions from parents and from the psychologist I work with, neuropsychologist in the Austin region. They're like, David, we're hearing great work. We're hearing good things about you. It's so good to hear. But it's just you, right? I mean, like, it's you? I said, yes. And they said, well, when you get a female life guide, someone on staff, would you please let us know? Because we have some families and young women that want to work with a female. So there she is. Yes.
Would you like me to?
Do you want to say anything to that? Sure. Absolutely.
Let me give you a little context of why this is important
Yes.
to me. So, a couple of things. I, from another lifetime, was a community nurse, very holistically driven in serving that person as a whole being. And in Western medicine, they tend to put out fires, right? Mm-hmm. Doctors do that, and us nurses come, and we're treating the whole self. So this aligned in that core value for me. But I also own a custom cabinet shop, and I already do hire people on the spectrum. So I can scale this in success and show you 8 to 10 years of how occupational E3, equipping, encouragement, is what we've been doing, encouragement, equipping, and engaging them in the occupational realm, how that has been successful. And one of ours is now our shop manager. So we immerse and blend with mainstream brain and that neurodivergent brain, and we love it. We have high success, and this just became a very natural thing for me. I have a personal story behind it. 2 of my kids have ADD and ADHD, and I advocated for them all through high school, all through the years of learning, and it is an uphill battle for all parents. And I will be the first to also stand and say I was a discourager in this too, and had to change course and begin to encourage my sons. My oldest came and one day and said, I don't want to go back to school and I don't want to live anymore. Mm-hmm. And so that was 5th grade. So that took me into mama bear mode of something has to change. Yes. And that's been my course, and that's really my truth of why I have decided to just put all of my bag of effort together in collaboration with NeuroGuides of Autism, because I think that this is going to be successful. This is different, and we are here to support him and this journey and this blazing of a trail that we already believe in. We've already seen it in our own. We're seeing it in our own world.
We're seeing it. Thank you, Sarah.
Did that answer that question?
Lovely. Wonderful.
Oh, I have another question.
Yes. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Stop. Okay, this is the last one. Do you try to, or is it in the plan to like reach out to like NPRL, where they, you know about that place?
I know about all these organizations, and let me tell you that I do not see competition. I don't see competition. I see potential allies. Everywhere I turn, I'm looking for allies. And I'm looking for people doing something aligned along this course and direction, because I've seen it successful. It's changing lives. If there's an organization that's not thinking this way, that thinks the opposite, I don't have a bad thing to say about them. I just drive around them. I'm on a path, I'm on a journey, and I've got a whole lot of autistic people that are counting on me. Right now as I'm speaking, there are thousands of autistic adults who are cheering me on every day. Okay? Go look at them, they're on social media. I put my name up there, LifeGuides for Autism, NeuroGuides, they're like, go baby, go. They're autistic adults, and they love this because this honors them and gives them dignity and engagement. So, non-parental, great, they do what they do. They're working with people for graphic design, computers, videos, stuff like that. That's great, fantastic. And I hope that for those that they serve, they get their value dollar, the dollar value.
Wouldn't your process work to somebody say, ooh, I'm into computers? And then that would be a...
Of course it does. And I work with people who are interested in doing computer and graphic design. Right now I'm working with a small group of 3 clients that want to do music production. And man, are these guys good musicians. So yes, whatever it is, I will work with them. Non-parental does their thing. They've got their new place coming. That's good, fantastic. I'm mobile. I go out and go to the people to help them. I'm a big fan of Big, Georgetown. I wave their flag. Go Big, go. Love you guys. They've got the garden center. Has anybody been there? Been to Big? Isn't it great?
Oh, yeah.
They've got the garden center. They've got the shop, which is beautiful. And they've got the kitchen, the cafe. So, and they serve a disability population that tends to be more physical disability or intellectual disability. But what wonderful work. And I know Erin, and she knows that I support her. So, again, if you're an ally and you're doing this kind of trailblazing with me, I'm going to wave your flag. I'm going to cheer your name from the mountaintop. And if you're not, and if you don't like me for some reason, let's part as friends. I got stuff to do. I got 4.5 million people to push ahead of me. Okay? I don't have time. I don't have time to get into competition. So the need is massive. Yes. Okay? You done?
I think, David, too.
Yes,
I just want
Allison.
to say, I think with non-parental and other resources and avenues, with any kind of decision you're going to make, there are data points. There are data points, and you got to take each data point and say what works for me. I think there is, and one of the data points is always cost and budget and that type of thing too. And so that's a data point, and everybody has to make their own decisions based on data points that are relevant to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And I will just say this: we do charge a very small fee for service hours. We don't charge anything for transportation, getting to wherever they are. We have a small assessment fee. We are a tiny fraction of cost as to what some of these organizations charge. We're a tiny little fraction, but that's okay. We're moving in the right direction. We're 501c3. We're trying to do some fundraising now. We want to buoy up our what we do, and we work with some people who are no income, extremely low income. We're not, as I like to say this. We don't cherry pick any of the people we work with. That's not what we do. We're not looking for the wealthy. We're looking for those amazing minds out there, right? Alice, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think those data points too evolve. Your young adult might not be ready for non-parental, but they're ready to talk to NeuroGuides. And then maybe eventually. So I think, once again, that's I think the challenge is that they're evolutionary too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that goes back to our equipping. You as parents are looking for the right equipping. You're looking for the best placement for your particular unique person that you love. You want them to find the right spot. And we come into an often very discouraged group, parents who have spent lots and lots and lots of money, okay, and are not seeing any return. I'm just saying it because I've seen it again and again.
It's true.
Okay, thank you, Julie.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
there.
It's true.
So we come in there
Let's
in
just
that
say it,
point,
it's
and we do this work in that place, and I'm telling you, I've seen. I'm going to tell you one. I'm going to tell you one. Alice, hold on. Okay, when I met her, she's 22 years old. She's been a client for 6 months now. When I met her, she was disheveled. Her apartment was. Get out of the camera. Her apartment was, like. Let me get a shovel to get
Like a
in.
hoarder.
Yes. She'd not been to class in 4 months. She wasn't eating. She just wasn't eating. She was. Her health was in serious decline. Not that way today, is it, Sarah?
No, she is flourishing.
Isn't she dynamite?
Amazing. Amazing.
That
Can I
is
just
transformation.
interject something
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that?
Please go ahead.
I actually, my daughter's 19 now. And she actually said to me, probably 2 years ago, when she was like 17, she actually said to me that, Mom, I never really tried, and she's very, very bright. But I never really tried in high school because I didn't think it would matter, because I knew I wouldn't live to be till the end of high school. I was planning to be gone by then. So I never put forth effort into the class.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, we're there. So, and as I said on my video, Brandon, you remember this? I said, people say, well, they should be driving by now. Like, why do they want to drive? Well, if you don't have a destination
Right.
and nothing matters to you, why do you want to drive anywhere? I mean, isn't it the logical thing to just sit there? If you don't have a destination, if you don't have a, there's no purpose. This is what's happening, and it's hidden in thousands and thousands of homes in the community. The further I walk down this trail of Life Guides for Autism, NeuroGuides, the more stones are being overturned, and these people are coming out of everywhere. This is huge. So we got to change this narrative. So, Alice, any more questions?
I was just going to say, I think one thing that sets you apart in the work that you do too is your incredible amount of patience. Because, you know, Ray and I were talking about this morning. It's like we live in a I want it now kind of
Yes.
world.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm that way. It's like if something doesn't work for me today, then I'm not going to do it tomorrow.
Yes.
By God, you know.
Right.
And I, you know, in the world of neurodiversity, that's not the way it works.
Right.
You know,
You're absolutely right.
and I just think you have a lot of patience, whereas a lot of people are not equipped with such.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
a lot of institutions are not as equipped.
No, and they react in a very negative fashion.
Yes.
We've probably seen this. But we gotta jump on them and get these behaviors under control. Just dive right down on them.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
That is a success story for failure. Does that make sense? Success story?
Behavior
That is a
intervention.
formula for failure. Okay? I am not a fan of behaviorists. In fact, if you read my writings, you'll be like, oh wow, he doesn't like them. I don't. Can I give you a personal illustration of why I don't? Okay. ABA. Said it. Okay. It's over. I said it. I'm still standing. Okay. Their advice for my daughter, her name's Cherith, she's 16, going on 45, right? Was you have to stop this. She's talking out loud. This is not good. This is socially inappropriate. She's talking out loud. She's just going around. You've been to her house. She talks out. You've been to her house. Cherith, she's talking out loud. She may be talking about Socrates, or over here she's talking about. She's just talking. She has these massive conversations with herself. When she goes into public, she's the sweetest, quietest thing you've ever seen. She's very socially appropriate. Did I say to her, we have to see somebody to get you some behavioral help to help you stop doing this talking out loud? Or did I say, what I've got here is I've got an auditory processor on my hands. This is how she thinks. She's a verbal learner. So what do I do in response to that? Do I shut it down, or do I encourage and engage it and equip it? I did that. And it's been hard work. And it's been a lot of times like, please stop talking. But you know what? Anybody want to guess how many languages she speaks now at 16 years of age? 5. German, Russian, Spanish, Japanese, Portuguese. We'll throw in English too, right? Although I'm not very good at English. I hope someday, right? I don't shut those down. I find them and encourage them. And yes, Alice, patience. I have had autistic people get in my face. I've had them hate me. I've had them come at me, and yet I persevere because I see the person behind that. That's a veneer. There's a person in there that needs to be reached, and I've got almost all my clients have either tried to commit suicide, they're planning to commit suicide, they talk about suicide. They don't fit on the frequency of this culture, so they want to check out. They're not finding their place, so they want to end it, okay? And I've got one client comes to mind. He's tried to commit suicide twice, and he's verbalized it twice with me. And yes, he's got psychiatrists, and we try and help him professionally. But what he's responding to is me coming alongside him and saying, "You matter. You are important to me. You're relevant to me. I'm here with you." And I've seen tremendous change. We may get there again, but it's not easy. But you're right. You cannot stop. You cannot give up.
I just wanted to share one thing, David, and if you can relate this to everybody. Remember that story you told us about how you went to make a pitch for some financial support?
Yes.
And they asked you a
yes.
question.
Right.
Remember that? And it was really kind of the defining event as to why you did not get approved for this.
Yes.
For this kind of grant money you were seeking.
We were runner-up.
And yeah, you were. But what? Yeah.
There's money, you don't get
Miscongeniality, I think, David. Yeah.
Yes, I got a consolation prize.
But what was it they said? Something about well, you're not. We give it to you, but what's the cure or something? You
Yes.
remember that?
Oh my God.
What did
So,
they say?
yeah, no, so there were two things. One is the gentleman, very distinguished scholar, professor from a large university nearby. And he said to me, "You know, from what you're saying, I bet there's people in my department who have this autism thing." You mean they're all around me?
They are.
Where do we run and hide?
Yeah.
No, they're there. They're there, okay? And then he capped it off by saying, "Well, I guess we can all hope for a cure for this affliction."
Oh God.
And then another one of them said to me, what was it? Yeah, well, that was the cure thing, but there was something else. Well, you know, we like to, with this investment cycle, we're looking for solid impact and return and dollar impact and things like, I'm like, we're not having the same conversation. I tried, but we're not, because we're having human impact. We're seeing lives change, okay? And the dollar amount for that return may not be seen in this lifetime. It may be seen in the next lifetime, okay? We don't know. But it's worth it, right? It's the good work. Thank you for nodding there, Renee. Good. So, other questions, thoughts, anything? Dollar, yes. And your name?
Eileen.
Eileen.
I'm just having a bit of trouble envisioning. You seem to infer that you're serving lots of clients, but yet there's just the two of you. How are you doing this? Can you explain a little
Oh,
better?
the two of us, yes.
They don't sleep?
Yeah.
You're kind of getting there. So, yeah. So, so two things. One, right now we are getting really close to having a full client load. And what I consider that is to be an active client load of 9 to 10. Because as Alice is nodding, Sarah's nodding, and Brandon's like, you can only go so far. There's only so much time and energy.
Right.
So back to that investment, they call it scalability. How do you grow? What do you do? So we have a plan to grow. It's probably not going to make the investors very happy, but this is what we do because they're not going to see money return on it right away. But here's the thing. Sarah is a new life guide. She has now, her presence alone has expanded in two ways. One, my ability to get in front of more clients, and secondly is to reach the female population, women, young women. So that's been a huge help. We are planning with every organization and company we work with to create a neurodiverse friendly culture there and to recruit life guides and train them inside those organizations. We are going to expand ourselves by creating life guides who will identify could there already be there? Yes, autistic people, come alongside them, and any new hires, talking that HR talk, right, Alice? Mm-hmm. Any new hires, let's get those life guides matched up with them, okay? Yeah, Sarah.
Let me also add to this to give you a little bit from our occupational point of view. So as a company in the community, as leaders in the community in a company scalable way, we are adding to the value of other corporations that we work with that have the same core values as we do. So we are a social impact company. So inside of Woodstock, Austin, which is our custom cabinet shop, we have a social conscious entity within it. As he is a nonprofit, we are for profit, but inside of our charitable giving, tax deferred stuff, we do that in-house. We have other companies that we work with that has the same model, business model. So what I offer here is, though I am one person in a staff sense that is a life guide, I represent a whole woven system of other
Yeah.
community leaders, other community companies
Yeah.
that also come alongside where we can do workshops and give jobs to. So one of the
True.
things of the engagement and occupational piece, that's where we're fulfilling that. So when David has a client that needs a job, I either hire them or I find other companies that
We're
fit in that
connecting, we're
wheelhouse.
building bridges, we're going out.
That is
And also want to add to, we are in the process of creating a video cast service. We're going to be able to expand our reach earlier than having people in different cities. You know, we get calls from Houston, Dallas, and so on. We're going to go to them virtually. We're going to pull up the video. We're going to talk with clients. Okay, we're going to do that virtually. We still have room for more clients, but here's another thing I want to say too. This is very important. I have no plans and I have no desire. And in fact, if I were to take this path, everything I've told you would not be true. And here's the path. I'm going to get clients to stick around for as long as I can possibly keep them. That is not my objective. We are transformational. You know, transformation has an end in sight. We are trying to see people transformed into different, new, fulfilling lives, okay? Whatever that looks like for them. It's going to look different for everybody. We're going to help them get there. And then we're going to say, thank you for this wonderful journey. You know, I'm a word picture guy, so beware, because I'm always coming with these word pictures, right? So my word picture is we're climbing a mountain with these folks, okay? I get to be a guide, okay? Like the Sherpa. See, they always get in the pictures, and the Sherpas are never in the pictures, right? They just lead them, get them up there, and then they disappear. So if we're climbing a mountain with our clients, we're getting them to a destination. And every path to that top, to wherever the mountain is different. So I'm not going to get them to the top of the mountain and say, let's do it again. Let's just go right back, or let's go round and around the mountain and never stop. No, thank you. Okay? That's not what we're trying to do. We've already had a client start to transition. I've got a client who's transitioned from 4 meetings a week with me down to 1. And she is doing great. Okay? And that's okay. I'm not trying to add more. I'm trying to give them liberty, freedom, a life. So, other questions? I wish I was more passionate, guys.
So could I just,
Julie.
could I just add to what I think you're trying to communicate
Please do.
your vision is? Because I've known David for what, 5 years now?
Yeah.
And we have 2 kids on the spectrum, he has 3, and our families have interacted and intersected over the years.
Yes.
And I see what you're trying to do is, you know, our kids are aging out of every support system that they've ever known.
Yes.
Since they were little.
Yes.
And then they get in this funk where they're like, I don't fit in anywhere, I'm worthless,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live anymore, I don't have any friends.
Yes.
There's no future for me.
Yes.
And you're wanting to, you know, so we're wanting to connect with those kids before, ideally before graduation if possible, but
Mhm.
even after if not.
Whatever
Whatever
it takes.
age, but
Yeah.
I mean, I see your target is 16 to maybe 25-ish in
So
there.
interestingly enough,
If that's your
16. Our youngest client is 16. Just started work with him this week. My oldest client is 29.
okay.
So that's
So, but what I see is, you know, what you're saying is that you want to just basically come along, give them their worth, which is all, your encouraging piece, which is what I see that your main focus is.
huge part of what we do. Encourage,
And then-
equipping, and
Yeah,
engagement.
and then I see your partner as more of the end point of, you know, the connections of where you're trying to connect. I mean, you're both doing both pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
I think she's more helpful with the piece.
she's got a ready business.
Right.
She's got one that's rolling. Okay, I'm connecting people occupationally day and night.
All
Okay,
kinds of different
off
places.
the grid, not there. I'm working right now with people at the Space Center in Houston. I'm working with people at least 3 tech companies. I'm working with people, some HR, some others, some owners. There's a little company that makes the equipment we all have in our tables here. Starting to work with them. Yes.
I know.
Come on. So across the board, everywhere. Yes, ma'am.
My
Your name?
name is Janaki Iyer.
Janaki. Thank you.
I'm a mother of an adult.
Yes.
He's actually 34.
34.
And does not fit into the autism spectrum. He just has mild disabilities,
Okay.
cognitive delays,
Okay.
and he's very intelligent. Math and science are tough,
Yes.
but English and reading he's pretty good.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
He's working part-time and doesn't qualify for any benefits, SSI, none of that.
Yes.
So the burden has been on me to pay for everything for him.
Yes.
Couple of questions. Do you take clients like that? Number one. Number two, you mentioned a small assessment fee. Can you be more specific?
Yes.
Third, I'm actually looking for some help occupationally to get him more full-time work with benefits. He has a long history of working in places like Kroger and Randall's, and currently
HEB.
he's employed at Lowe's.
Yeah.
But moving to a full-time position has been a challenge.
Yes.
So would he be somebody that would fit in? And we moved to Austin for his independence because we live very close to the metro. He's capable of taking the public transportation
Sure.
and getting to places.
So before I start with your three, and you may have to read them back to me, but I remember the first one at least. So, and by the way, I keep notes. I consider it to be marking the trail because I'm on a trail, and I mark my trail carefully with lots of notes. I'm going to address something you said that's very interesting. I have clients who have, sorry, it's not dysgraphia, that's written. What's the numbers?
Dyslexia.
Oh, dyscalculia.
Thank you. Ask the professionals in the room. Dyscalculia. So their number, they see numbers and it's jumbled. Okay, it's like for dysgraphia would be words jumbled. Their numbers are jumbled. So I've got a client in particular comes to mind who has learned, and I've encouraged her to not fight that, to not just make herself get through it because she can't. She's tried for a decade, but she's an artist and an incredible graphic designer. She actually uses that as a part of her art. She's got paintings that these numbers are jumbled up, and it's saying something to her, and she's doing it, and we're all like, oh my gosh, you painted that? It's amazing, or drew that. So we're not going to go at weaknesses. We're going to go at strengths. So there's a strength there, and I appreciate you saying that. So secondly is, would I work with someone like that? When we came up with, we sort of rebranded, we're LifeGuides for Autism. We're also NeuroGuides. And NeuroGuides, the thinking was that we're going to reach out to a bit broader audience. So I've got a question now. I've got 3 people sending me emails saying, will you work with, and not autistic, but there's some similarities in conditions. Mm-hmm. So I've already said possibly. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't work with someone with Down syndrome. I might, if we can be of help. If we can be of help. So age is not so important to me, although I will say this, from what I've seen, my observation, is that when you see autistic persons get into that 40s and 50s and 60s years of age, they're usually very, they usually have a lot of sort of life services, interdependent things around them that have gotten them into a place of security, or their family's providing it, right? So,
Or not.
or they're homeless or walking the street. It's true. Mm-hmm. There's some situation there, or they're in prison. Mm-hmm. We got a large autistic population in prison, very bright criminals. So we just go and assess each person individually. So possibly, yes.
My son is very positive.
Yes.
He's always cheerful. Nothing upsets him.
Well, where you got
and
that
he
from?
does have a can-do attitude.
Yes.
So that's why I was thinking if
Just
it's
like
something
his mom.
that you could work with,
Yeah,
whether
possibly.
you would. And
Second question.
The assessment fee, you weren't very
Yes,
specific
so
on that.
several $100s for a one-time assessment fee. We tend to follow in our assessment the model of Connor, Asperger. I know Asperger kind of got beat up on recently, although he's been passed for many years, of observational assessment. So you'll appreciate this. The professionals in the room, you take a lot of notes. Observational assessment. We're learning the person. We're looking for areas. We're looking for some of those key areas that we can address. We're often finding in our assessments things that the parents themselves miss. Okay, for any parents in this room who might have seen one of our our work, you'll see one or two things. You'll see things like, I never even noticed that. Or you'll see, we've seen that for years. Yes, we're seeing that. So our hourly fee is very small, $60 an hour. I mean, that's it, right? So, and then, yeah, Sarah?
can you give a dollar specific amount for that assessment? Several hundred, you said?
300.
Two or
300 for an assessment, and then $60 an hour. And yeah, I get it. I hear from people saying, "You just raise your rate." No, we're not going to, because we want to reach everyone we can. And there are some people who are so low income in such hard places that we work with them individually. We do what we have to do. We are a 501c3, and we are moving to a place. Come on, board of directors. Come on, life guys. We're moving to a place where we're going to do some effectual fundraising, and we will then be able to provide for the needs of everyone that reaches out to us, including hiring more staff and getting our wheels, right?
Yes.
The Life Guides for Autism mobile. What was your third question?
Forget now myself.
It's okay, you had them written down. Come on.
No, I was gonna ask her what her cabinet company's name was, but that was the last question. but-
Woodstock, Austin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you work, I mean, all over, like as far as employment centers? Do you have them all over, or?
I work everywhere. Now, here's what, when you mentioned employment centers specifically, okay? I know people in some of these agencies and employment centers, but I don't work with them one-on-one. I choose different paths. I have a private sector background in addition to nonprofit. I am, as Alice will tell you, I'm not terribly shy. I will go right to the right people and make a pitch and appeal for the people I work with. So I don't need a lot of layers, because man, don't we already have enough layers in between us and success? So I don't work with that. I just go straight to the people we need to work with.
And as far as the assessment, are you talking
Yes.
about like psychological and all those kind of, because my son has been overanalyzed, I feel.
Oh, boy.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
like all our kids have been, you know.
Right. No, I agree. And I embrace the place of good therapy, of good psychology, and I like you. Thank you. So give me your cards, whatever. So, but you're right. They've been overanalyzed. And you as parents, you know your children. You know what your eyes and heart is telling you. You know their challenges. So we come in and meet you in that place. When we do an assessment, what does that look like? Again, it's observational. I ask a lot of questions. I give them breathing room. Sometimes in an assessment, I have to sit there for 15 minutes and just let them defrag and calm down and find a place where they can begin to breathe and just be able to talk to me. And I ask questions because I know how to ask these questions. Again, and I have 3 autistic children. I figured this out and work with clients. Ask the right questions, heart questions. Get down to what matters, and where they will not open up to you, respect that for that time, because there will come a time when they will open up to you. I've had clients that I meet with them for a month or two, and then they just start opening up. And I've had clients that tell me, after meeting with them for some time, I have to tell you something. Like, talk to me. I thought about killing myself this weekend. Like, thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about that. And then if they need help, yeah, first thing, let's get to the parents. But just get them to open up. Okay? What we don't want is silent disengagement and something terrible happened and we didn't know. We would never know. Your neighbors, Channel 5. I never knew that about them. Well, okay. We need to. Yeah. Renee?
Do you ever see yourself working in groups as opposed to just one-on-one? So far, it sounds like you're just one-on-one with the client.
No, that's great. So yes, we do work in groups.
You do have.
That would
We
be
do.
part of your emotional, social.
Yeah, but I don't use a lot of the language, right? We choose different language. We don't say workshops, and we don't say
They have.
we don't do any of
Social
that.
skills groups?
We don't do that. Well, for 2 reasons. One is if we say that, they will not come.
Right.
I mean, they've learned to avoid this. They're listening. And if they hear something that like, oh boy, here we go again. No, you're not getting me in there.
Stop
Drag
trying
me
to
in.
fix me, Mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
don't drag me in front of these
I can make
people.
friends by myself.
Right.
What mine is.
Or a lot of the Austin area, and I'm not naming any names, a lot of the Austin area social groups for autistic people. Who's leading them?
Autism people.
Yep, our neurotypicals,
Mm-hmm.
like me, are leading them.
Well, I like the 28, they used to call themselves 26 years and older on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And they meet every other week, and it's really a joyful group
Yeah.
to go attend if you're a parent.
I need to come to them. So, Sarah, who was running our group, our last social event? Was it me?
No.
It was them, right? Yes, it's them. We equip and empower them to run their own social group. It's about them. It's not about me. And when they sense us backing off and just letting them be, I'm trying to get them to go to do their thing. And you just watch them. They're like, they start looking up, they start talking to each other, and all of a sudden their friendships are being formed, engagements, social acuity, good things are happening from it. So that's what we're doing. Our last event was this week, right? We had a social hour in a bank vault. That was interesting. Nice and quiet in the bank vault.
Oh my gosh.
Ever been to one? Walls are like 4 feet thick. No sound's getting through there. So in the door, of course, you know, my artists in the group, they're like, wow, this door's really steampunk. You know, it's really cool. So, yeah.
Couple of more questions.
Yes.
What is your educational background prior
Yes.
to being, other than being a dad of 3 kids?
Yes, which is quite an
And
education in itself.
I'm sure. Secondly, do you have any other clients that are not autistic that you're dealing with right now? Because I'm just hearing
Sure.
autism all the time, but
Sure.
do you have a, okay.
Yeah. So my educational background, I've got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, not in psychiatry. Okay? And by the way, if you see somebody say that they are certified in autism, yes, now finally there are some schools beginning to teach courses in autism and neurodiversity, although that's new. So I worry when they say we're teaching about autism and they don't talk about neurodiversity, which is the new term. But what I discovered is that even though I didn't train specifically to be in this, I've had this conversation with Sarah, like I didn't pick this, okay? I didn't choose to like, you know what I think? I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna have 3 autistic children. Well, why not, right? I didn't choose this life. It came to me and I've embraced it and I have done journey of personal discovery and I have done a lot of things to come to this place where I'm at. So again, educationally, bachelor's, master's degree, some people said I should get a PhD. I'm like, why? Okay, no. So, what was the second question?
Do you have children that your clients who are non-autistic?
Yes, not on the spectrum. We have some clients who are not formally diagnosed, but the parents and caregivers are saying they're really like close to that, or there's some co-occurring neurological condition that's so close that we can say, yeah, they're probably. We're going to help wherever we can help. So if they're not officially on the spectrum, it's okay. And by the way, we've had people we work with who in having this dialogue and this conversation, they say, not only do we're going to go ahead and get our children diagnosed, we're going to get ourselves diagnosed. Okay? This is huge, by the way. Do you guys know this? Especially women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s now are being diagnosed in droves with autism. It's happening all across the United States because there's been so much stigma and so much cultural whatever. And I say whatever, like I'm a guy, or like saying crushed into this compartment. Any women in the room? You probably know. Okay, so this has gone on for a long time. And a lot of women who want to know themselves better, and they're saying, why do I always think this way? Why do I have this propensity towards detail and this and that? And now they're getting their answers. So that's happening. Yeah, anything else?
Yeah, so you do an observational, the
Yes.
process.
Yes.
You do an observational thing. And
Assessment.
then after that, if you
Not
take the
diagnosis.
person as a client, then
Yes.
you'll be an hourly based on the number of hours spent per week.
Yes, and what we're finding works best is generally 2 hours a week, sometimes 3. We really don't go more than that. We find a good balance in that place for a lot of reasons. A lot of the people we work with are already overloaded. They're anxietal, they're sensory stimulated, they're caught up in some family situations or with schools or other things that they're just struggling. Every day they're struggling. So we find that with regular intervals to go see them, we're seeing the most success. So, and we change it. If the family says, we want you to come more often, like one more time, like, okay, or less, we change it up. It's all about the person. It's not about us. It's not about our process, it's about them. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Cinda.
Cinda.
Kind of going back a little bit about the job part. Do you work with any of the employers for like internships?
Yes.
Oh, good.
We're finding a lot of success there.
I think that's ideal.
No, it is.
Because they don't,
It's a
my
great-
daughter's gonna say, I don't know what I wanna do.
No, it's a great entry point. So 2 things in that. 1, great point of entry is these internships, these affiliations with companies and organizations. It's important that we want to find something that they're generally interested in.
Well, yeah.
Although I have clients who tell me, I want to do this. Okay, really? That. Okay. But if you give them those steps, those first steps, get them discovering for themselves. And then what you find is them branching out. Well, I said I wanted to be an astronaut, but now I really want to be a veterinarian.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay? And by the way, we're not looking for super titles. We're not looking, if one of your people you work with wants to be a doctor, we'll help them. Okay? But what if they just want to be somebody who has what if they want to be a carpenter? Just something that will work with their hands. We want to help them do that, whatever it is. Yeah. So there was another kind of part 2 to what you're saying too.
Well, I mean, just, it would be helpful to know that you're working with people that are open to that idea, that it's not just, we're
Yes.
hired and you find out 3 months later they're not doing well in it because,
Yes.
you know.
What we've discovered in this is that this journey, we've learned some lessons, haven't we, Sarah? Okay, so we're going for this mountain, whatever it is. Everybody's got their own mountain, that peak to get to. So when we go back to this E3, this equipping, encouraging equipping and things, think of that trail, right? What's the first thing you do before you climb a mountain? Anybody ever climbed a mountain? I climbed some small ones. There you go. Which one did you climb?
Mount Stewart, Washington.
Lovely. Good. Excellent. One of the first things you do, now maybe you can do it on your own, but many people can't. They hire guides, right? Okay. The very first thing they do, the guide gets up ready and says, encouragement. You can do this, guys. Come on. I can't climb. I want to, but so encouraging. Equipping. That guide is not going to send you up the mountain ill-equipped, without water and ropes and whatever else they use to climb mountains. You would know. You did it. They're not going to send you up there like that, okay? And they are engaging. They may not walk, they may not carry you. I guess they could. That'd be nice, right? Yeah. No. They may not carry you, but they're going to walk alongside you. They're going to be nearby. They're always making sure that you're climbing that mountain. So that base camp is really important. Does anybody want to guess who's in the base camp for these young people, for these kids, for these young adults?
I'm gonna assume we are.
Parents.
You!
Yeah.
I'm in a room of the base camp, okay?
Exactly.
There are times I'm going to radio to you and say, Johnny or Jill, we got a problem here. We need this. We need to adjust course. We got to do this. We need more water. We need something. The hard lesson learned is this. We've had clients, not many, but we've had clients that their parents are not supportive, or their parents are so done, they just disconnected. They're just disconnected, or they're passive. They're like, well, whatever you want to do, whatever anything happens. And the kid's like, looking, I'm like, please help me. You know, they're not saying it, but that's what they're doing. We need people in that base camp to cheer so loud it's going up the mountain, okay? We're not asking you to walk up the trail with them. Trust me, you've tried to do that. It's not working out. You know who the worst person to guide and lead our autistic young people is? Us, parents. We're the worst people, which is one reason I'm so effective in working with people, because I can come in and guide. So I saw a question brewing over here. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm just curious, do you work with any people with autism that live by themselves?
Yes.
But have chosen?
Yes.
Yes, they don't have a base camp necessarily.
They
Or
do.
not much.
They do. You just have to look for it.
Okay.
You just have to look for it. It's there. Yeah. Yes, Alice.
I was just going to say, coming from the world of human resource management, the first thing that I encourage anybody who's job hunting to do is to reflect and take an assessment of their own talent and where they're really good at, what brings them joy, where they feel they contribute and can add value. And then I have them put it in the form of a resume or some kind of communication that they can take into anybody, whether or not there's a job posted at that company or not, because there are a lot of jobs out there that never get posted. And there are a lot of jobs out there where the employer doesn't know what they don't know. So they may, you know, it's sometimes the tail wags the dog. Sometimes the employer will sit down with somebody and go, wow, you know what? We need an editor.
Yes.
We need somebody to edit our technical writing. Or we need, you know, they don't know what they need until they see the resume that fills it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great.
So I know a lot of people that maybe got their degree in one thing, they love something else, and they just do a networking interview, you know. And you know, I know a lot of HR colleagues that would be willing to do that with somebody just to see, because there's a war on talent right now. There's a lot of employers out there really looking for people.
Sure.
And that's kind of what interested me too in David's work, is that from an HR perspective, I feel a little shame in my profession, because one thing that we always look for in job placement is this thing we call cultural fit. And I look back on so many people that I may have worked with over the years that maybe I put on some kind of performance improvement plan or some kind of a disciplinary record or something because they didn't fit. They didn't act like everybody else.
Yes.
And I've been starting to take this message to my colleagues in the HR community, and many of them, like in David's groups, they look back and they go, wow, yeah, that's so-and-so, how she comes to the HR person's door and says, I need this, I need this, I need this, and won't leave until they get it.
Right. We let Bob go, or we let Janet go because they just didn't fit.
Yeah.
A few months ago, I just want to jump on this because what you're saying is right on target. A few months ago, I worked with a large organization in Austin, LCRA, and I actually crafted, I had the delight and the privilege to craft a sensory-friendly workspace for an engineer, and it was so great because I went in and working with the department heads, I explained about neurodiversity, and I explained about autistic persons, I explained sensory processing integration disorder, SPD. Which almost all of my clients have as a challenge. And so they were able to craft a unique workspace environment for this person. So the fluorescent lighting, gone. Set up a lamp, 2 lamps in the corner actually. They had the place where they put this person was at the end of a hallway. It was quiet, right? The people were now aware, this person's got some hearing stuff. If they're wearing headphones, they're not trying to be mean to you or something, you know, they're not tuning you out. These are needs that they have. They're sensory overloading, so let's just bring them down. Turns out to be one of the best employees, just going and going and going.
Yeah, in fact, I've got a gal
Fantastic.
like that I'm meeting with next Thursday.
Yeah.
She said at her old employer, they let her build a box around her cube.
Really interesting.
Yeah, well, this current employer ain't putting up with that.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got to make some kind of, but the thing is that, you know, we've got the ADA, we've got the, you know, we've got all these laws in our companies, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and they won't necessarily work on giving somebody an accommodation like that unless they have an assessed diagnosis. So like I said, it's a struggle from the HR
Yeah,
world.
and beyond the ADA, and beyond that, is this understanding of these unique individuals.
Of diversity.
Of diversity. So there was a young woman, right, and she created this cattle trap thing. And she got herself in it, and she would lock herself down. She had a lever she could pull. She could get herself out, right, when she wanted to. And it shut her senses down, and she felt controlled and safe until she calmed down. Okay. Anybody know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
You know what Temple said to me? I saw her in Florida about a year ago. Temple and I were having this great conversation, and a mom comes up. I'll tell you this too. Mom comes up with her son, and Temple's like, "What do you want to do?" The young man. The mom's like, "Hi, Temple Grandin." She's like, looks at, "Oh, hi. What do you want to do?" You know. He's like, "Oh, well, I want to do. Here's what I want to do." And Mom says, "No. You don't understand. He's got a disability. He's got autism." Like he's telling Temple Grandin about autism. That's like Neil Armstrong. Let me tell you about this place called the Moon. Okay, I don't know. Yeah. So don't crunch him down. Don't stop him. But you know what Temple said to me? I told her what I was doing. Temple sticks her finger in my chest. "David, you must do this. Do you hear me?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." That's it. I'm not going to say no, ma'am, to Temple Grandin. So here I am, LifeHouse for Autism. Any other questions?
She told you she read.
She told me.
Could we hear more about the LifeHouse Community?
Yes. All right. So
Our favorite subject.
Yes.
now, so folks, when I first started launched this initiative, I thought this was something I wanted to do 3 to 5 years from now. Well, no. It's going to happen very soon because there is no 3 to 5 year wait. This has to happen now. And amazingly enough, right? Things are just coming in right and left that are helping us to do this. What is he talking about? What is LifeHouse Community? LifeHouse Community is an intentional, oh, I have my book. Excuse me while I step over here and off the camera. So one of my encouragers, an incredibly brilliant man, an investor, commercial real estate guy, told me, he said, David, please stop writing this vision down on a napkin. Because I did it like 10 times with different people. I'm like, put it on a napkin. He's like, stop doing that. You should get a book and write it down. So you're seeing for the first time David's drawing of the LifeHouse Community. What is it? Well, it's an intentionally designed community on 8 to 10 acres of property somewhere in the Austin regional metro, close enough to transportation, to jobs, everything else, okay, but not in the core of the city. So I'm not looking to build a place, we're not looking to build a place, that's going to be a monastery, someplace that's unreachable. There are places like that. They're residential. That's not what we're after. This is not residential. This is not transitional living. This is transformational living. Okay? At the very core of it on the property, we have a classroom for the community, a place that's going to have a nice big kitchen. You can learn to cook. It's going to have places where if you want to work on your art, it's going to have that too. People will be coming in that we invite to teach, to life guide. Okay? It's going to be a place, a center in that one building, large building, for a lot of things to happen, socially, occupationally, relationally. Around that building, as I said, showing my picture, will be in phase 1 between, I said 6 to 8, everybody's saying 8 to 10, fine. 8 to 10 small living tiny homes, right? Which is where we're going today. Sarah, we go and see them? We're going to see some tiny homes. We're already talking about what they'll look like. And they're all going to be unique and different, but they're going to be places where people are going to live and have their own homes in intentionally designed transformational community. Phase 2 will be more homes. Phase 3 will be more homes. We've secured, I say secured, that's like I bid for this thing. No, I didn't. I had a meeting with an architect, a principal architect of an amazing powerhouse architecture firm in Austin. And I told this to him and his marketing director, and they just sort of stared at me for a long time. And they said, this is pretty amazing what you're talking about. I said, yeah. So they went back the next day, and I thought, well, I just ran them off. They went back to the next day, and they got their whole firm together. And I was told that every single person in that room said, this is our project. This is it. We're going to build this. Yes,
Is the
ma'am.
idea that these tiny houses would be temporary dwellings just until people graduate out into the community, or are they going to be?
Yes. They're transformational in nature.
Yeah.
We will work with each individual, and in some cases each family, and we will come up with the timeline. There will be responsibilities, and I'm not talking about pushing a broom to earn your way or something silly like that. We do that too much demeaning stuff to them already.
Yeah.
They will have a budget. They'll be able to keep it. They're going to work with our life guides to help them get their footing. This is not somewhere where somebody's going to live for 20 years. That's a residential. There are those, okay? And they get to be 50 and 60 and 70 years old and then they die. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about transformation. Sarah, see you in the back waving.
Just wanted to add, if anybody wants more information about, is that being done already in the earth somewhere? I have 2 contacts that I can show you their links. They're not necessarily in our genre, but we're going to use them as a pattern, as a template. But they are very successful. One is in Arkansas and was run by a now congressman. Her name's Cindy Crawford, Arkansas congresswoman. And then at seminary, Thistle Farms, you guys may know she locally sells, but her template of this is in Tennessee, so I can
Yeah,
show
in
you
the
both
Neurodiversity Center in Colorado. There's some out there, but our thought is that, and I hope we've got this through to you guys, I want to replicate myself 10,000 times over. I want to create a model of movement and transformation that this happens all over the place, okay? And that actually the narrative changes. The narrative for autistic persons changes. So, so we want people to copy us. And when we do this, we're going to have centers throughout the United States, probably 3 or 4 in time. But we want people to copy us. We want there to be intentional, transformational community building. So LifeGuides community, LifeHouse community, it's coming. So I can't tell you when. I can't tell you when we're going to break ground. I can't tell you when we're going to open the first door to the first small house, but it's coming.
And David, if
Sure.
anyone knows construction companies, because we are custom cabinet shop, we're gonna spearhead whatever
Yeah.
he needs in the construction of that.
Yeah.
And we would love to work with more businesses that wanna come alongside that vision.
We will talk to
You know
him. We'll talk to
anyone,
him.
please
Yeah.
let us know.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Well,
Yeah.
how, besides that, how
Yeah.
else can all of us get involved if we want to?
So-
Raise money, crowdfund?
2 ways. Well, yeah, we need to. Oh, by the way, so every time I speak to a group, I always ask, because I need to. I mean, literally, I've been going to see clients, and I've been running out of gas. I'm like, how much money do we have in our account? Can I get enough gasoline to get me to the client and back home again? I've been there. Okay, we run real lean, and I watch every dollar so carefully. Okay, so every time I'm with anybody, I ask, I gave to guide. Okay, if you want to give today anything, you're more than welcome. This old pot, I've cooked a lot of meals in this thing because I've done hiking. I hiked part of the Appalachian Trail. I've been up on mountains. I've never climbed a big mountain, but I've cooked a lot of meals. And my thinking is, you can't climb a mountain. You can't lead other people unless you eat, right? Right? Your doctor's in the room.
Right.
It's a nutrition thing, energy, calories, something like that. We can't run our social impact 501c3 nonprofit without gifts. So if you want to give, you're more than welcome to give. Other ways you can help. Spread the word. Spread it in a positive, encouraging way. That David Hall, Sarah, Brandon, and others, we've got this this social impact venture. They're trying something unique. They're not a threat to anybody. They're just going out and engaging autistic adults where they are and helping them to find fulfilling lives. So that's a big thing. Spread the word. Social media. You know, we put stuff out on social media. Feel free to like us. Can you dislike us? Just like us, okay? You know, but let's be encouragers of one another. You know, if anybody is like me in the room, you've faced getting beaten down plenty of times, okay? By even our own children.
Tell them about our idea for our mobile van that we really desperately need.
Oh, yeah.
For these.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. So what we're gonna do? So
It's gonna be shaped like a hot dog, right?
no. No, we will not have a margarita on the top or like a piece of pizza going down the road. No, what we're going to do for our to raise funds for our future van, and we're going to visit some dealerships. We've got an idea of what we're going to do, probably like one of those Ford Transit passenger van things, and we'll put the LifeGuides symbols on it and stuff. Is we're going to create, if anybody's graphically oriented or is computer designed, we're going to create a picture of a van, and people can contribute and donate to buy pieces of this van. Do you want to buy a tire for $500? Come on now, get a tire. You want to buy a window here? You want to buy a steering wheel? The steering wheel's $1,000. You know, accelerator, brake, blah blah blah. We're gonna raise money by people buying parts of the van until we get it.
So there are interactive ways that you might click on the tire and it'll say a price and you can dump it,
Yeah.
whatever, and then your name and we'll acknowledge any of those gift giving.
You give enough, and we're going to run you around
Make it
town
fun.
wherever you want to go in that van, right?
Yes.
So we need wheels. I'm driving right now a Toyota RAV4. She's a beauty. I don't know, 290,000 miles or something like that. It's not going to go forever. So we need transportation. We need transportation, and now we're starting to take our clients places, and we need reliable transportation. So thank you for asking.
What's the monetary goal for the van?
Probably about 25,000. We're going to get a good van, solid one with you know, everything we need on it. I do want to make it accessible for disabilities. So, and I want to put in there, I want to be very conscious about people that are already in sensory overload. We may have some noise canceling headphones hanging behind every seat. You get overloaded, you grab those headphones and you put them on. Check out. Fine. So
We rented one for this trip to Big Bend.
That was a good
It
one.
cost right about $700 just for a 3-day weekend.
yeah,
So that funding would be much better utilized in something that's permanent. for these
Absolutely.
people.
absolutely. Yeah. So you can give, you can promote, you can help us with our fundraising. That'd be
Yes,
fun, right?
Please.
Because it's a one-time thing. Like, I want to buy a tire. Do it. Yay. So, other questions before we wrap up?
I'm itching to learn more about crowdfunding, and I've never participated in
Yeah.
a campaign like that, but
Yeah.
I've heard some success stories.
I think we're going to do that.
So-
We're probably going to do a startsomegood.com or some of them are not so good. Some are like people like trying to raise money to get cosmetic surgeries, or whatever, things that aren't necessary, right? Okay, my dog needs a new wardrobe, whatever. That's not us. But startsomegood.com, they vet you, so they pick very carefully. And if you are a good social impact venture that they say these people are changing things, they will select you. We've already been selected by startsomegood.com. So we just need to do that campaign.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
David, can I ask a question of
Yes,
the
please.
group? My name is Susie McCoy. I have an 18-year-old son. He's not autistic, but he's got pretty significant brain injury due to fetal alcohol exposure. He lives in a group home a few blocks from here. I asked him to come today. He declined.
Okay.
He's African American, so if anyone knows of any churches in the Round Rock area, black pastors, African American churches, I'm trying to find someone who might want to do some service work and hang out with him on the weekends. He's isolated there. They have no structure. They don't do squat. So he's sitting in his room right now doing nothing.
And you and I need to talk some more. So because even if I'm not working with you officially, I'm going to be getting resources for you. Even if you're not one of our clients, if I can help you in some way, I'm going to help you. So we're already talking behind the scenes about some possibilities, right? So, okay.
So on
Yes,
a
ma'am.
similar line, is there like a big brother kind of an organization where you have, nice, trustworthy people that could come and, be a friend, basically?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so I love Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's a great organization. And they're not perfect, but they're great. It's coming alongside, right? Yeah. So what we do in a sense is we come alongside, but here's where we changed a little bit in the trail. We want to help them, these autistic persons, find their own tribe, to find their own community. And by the way, it reminds me, this is like the core philosophy of where we get what we do. Okay, I know Steve Silberman personally. He is a great encourager of me, and he is cheering me on all the time. And this is called Neurotribes. If you don't read any other books about autism, this is the one. What it did for me is it flipped my thinking around. And I didn't like it, but I did it, okay? You got it too? Excellent. Neurotribes, great book. Legacy of Autism and the Future of Neurodiversity. This guy's an amazing researcher. He goes back and he will show you historical examples throughout history of people who have had autism, been on the spectrum, and the things that they have done for this world is amazing, okay?
And Georgetown Library has it.
Georgetown Library has it. Go to Georgetown Library. Interesting book, Born on a Blue Day. This one is just, it's an amazing discovery of a unique human mind. Someone with autism, born on a blue day. Love, Barry present. Uniquely human, a different way of seeing autism. Barry sees autistic persons as fully human persons. That's where he starts his perspective, and he's got tons of experience in working with disability population, working with autistic persons. So great book, Uniquely Human. Here she is, Temple Grandin. She's in all in this. Temple Grandin. This is Preparing for Life. This is a good guidebook. Don't try this at home, kids, alone, kids. But you can work with groups on this book. Preparing for Life. They give you a lot of practical nuts and bolts things to do in working with autistic persons, socially, occupationally, relationally. Anything else? Any final questions? I'm gonna let you guys go. It's Saturday afternoon. It's probably like 110 degrees outside by now, but Yes, Renee?
Last one I'll have is a goal, like a financial goal before
Yes.
you start getting I'm thinking about the LifeHouse and what that's gonna cost.
Yes.
You have to.
I've been told by Jeffrey Outlaw, my friend, who's done this stuff before, and he sells tiny homes, and he loves this idea. He said, David, you're going to need to raise probably $5 to $6 million. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I know other organizations have raised a lot more than that. That's fine. but that's realistically what we're gonna need, because we're gonna have to buy the property. And I've got people showing me property, not yet. All the people we're working with are saying, not yet, don't, not yet. Just wait, it'll come. The properties are out there. We gotta get all this other stuff together before we do that. So we're in our pre-planning phase to get ready to our launch, and then we're gonna do a capital campaign, and then we're gonna get to the place. We're not doing any loans. We're raising every dollar of this, okay? So we're gonna get there. Thank you, Nate. Good question. Anything else for the good of the
Oh,
today?
just
Yes.
one quick one, hopefully. Okay, so you talked a little bit about Neuromatch.
Mhm.
Are you looking at just romantically Neuromatch or
That's what it is.
friendships? Okay.
That's what it is. That is neuromatch. That's the relational. It's personal relationships. It's
I know,
romance.
but not everything.
Companionship.
But not everything is necessarily a romance. You
And we
don't.
get into the social,
You know.
and it's all in there.
You know.
I've got a young man I met with today, and he says he's known this young woman for a year, and he doesn't have any friends, and I see his heart, and he trusts me, and I know I can see it. But he said, it took me a year getting to know her, and she said, why don't we get together this week on Saturday afternoon and have some fun? He's like, yes. He just adores her. She dropped him. She just won't call him, text him, call him, nothing. She's off the radar screen. Can I tell you what that does? Now, I believe that if we match effectively and well, I've seen it. I've seen these persons get to go in and talk and stuff, and sometimes surprising, right? Like you didn't see that one coming. It's out there. They can find their own tribe, okay? Neuro
It could
tribes.
be a fundraiser.
They can find it.
A business,
But we gotta help them.
you know,
Well, it could be.
if we have the person to do the
Yeah,
website.
5 years from now. What happened to David Hall? He just like turned into a matchmaker. That's all he did.
My name on it. I'm an entrepreneur, so.
Good.
What's this idea?
You guys, I thank you so much for being here, for listening to me. I hope this has been helpful to you. And I just want to leave with my encouragement for you as parents, as caregivers, as lovers of these persons, these beautiful human persons, not to give up, to forge patience, and to be encouragers. And I know it is so, so hard. I know that. But I see the future. I do. I see a bright future. Thank you.
Thank you.